Welcome. Here we are with episode 8 of Wholesaling the Cool Way, our podcast that shares our journeys. My son Jasper and myself, Mark Cool, shares our journeys on our wholesaling businesses. Jasper specializes in houses, and he does do some vacant land, and I specialize in vacant land and occasionally do houses. And I do some owner finance deals too. But our purpose with this is just to share our journey, and hopefully it's helpful to people who are coming along behind us and wanting to start or grow real estate investing businesses. So hopefully we got something in here that'll help you. And we normally start off with inspiration and education, things that we've gotten this week as far as podcasts, books for reading, anything like that. And then we'll go into checking in about our business week. Jasper, you got stuff? I know we talked about Alex Hormozy a little bit, and maybe there's other stuff that you've been inspired or educated by this week.
Yeah, let's do it. So yeah, we touched on that offline, but I was inspired on multiple accounts by that seminar he did yesterday. First off, I thought it was really cool that he had over 500,000 people in that virtual thing. I don't know what the records are with something like that. I'm sure Tony Robbins probably did like the biggest ever, but
yeah.
But 500,000 people was a lot, and he gave a few examples like that would be like I think 10 NFL stadiums, or he gave all these different examples of like how many people were actually in there. So I thought that was really cool, and despite that, I was there for it live. Despite that, there was no issues. There's no audio issues, video issues. He showed up on time. He finished on time, and it was super smooth. So I was very impressed by that. And I can't imagine the back end on something like that, like how many tech people they have to have working on it throughout the show and before the show and after the show and everything. So I was inspired by the way they put on the event, and just inspired by him and what he continues to do with his books and his training and everything. And also that he put together this course, which I started going through it, and it looks like it's probably 5-6 hours of quality content, and he just gave it to everybody for free. So I'm inspired by just his path, I guess, in business. Is really inspiring to me to just be crushing it in business so much that he doesn't even need to sell a course, and he just gives it all away for free. That's awesome. Kind of flips the whole model on its head, but I think it's awesome.
Yeah. It's
So
a
that was super
go-giver thing,
inspiring to
right?
me.
I mean, he's just trying to give as much as he can, and then he's benefiting too, but
That's
that's not the purpose of why he's giving. He just wants to help people succeed and be happy.
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things he said when he was going through that whole pitch and everything, he was, building up all this value, and he's going to drop the price on everybody. He first dropped it, I think, at $49.97, and then he crossed that out. And he was like, "No, I'm not going to make you guys pay that." He dropped it to like $29.97 or something. He's like, "No," and then he said something like, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he went to the next slide and he was like, "Well, guys, remember, this is our mission here at acquisition.com to make real business education available to everyone."
Yeah.
And he was like, because of that, I'm just messing around. It's going to be free. And I just thought that was so cool because he's living his mission. A lot of people, they'll give you their core values or their mission or whatever, but they won't always be congruent with that. So I'm impressed with them and how much money and effort they put into their free content for everyone. I think it's really cool.
Yeah.
I think it's going to help everyone. Everyone's going to be able to grow bigger. And then there's going to just be more and more Alex Hormozy. It's just people giving away stuff for free. And, he's not the first, but I think it's going to help spark a wave of people like that. So I'm inspired to do the same. Maybe we can grow our podcast into that level one day.
Yeah.
But
well, if we can help
yeah,
other people, that's great. It's where it starts.
Definitely. So yeah, that was amazing. Other than that, I don't think I had anything that comes to mind. Over this past week, I was reading a couple good books this week. One called Read the Game that I mentioned a few times. I really enjoyed that. But I think that was the main thing for me. Also, we did see an open house last week after our meeting on last Sunday. So I'll count that for this past week. And it was almost like everything that I touch on in my vivid vision. So that was really fun. They had a basketball court in the backyard. They had a huge grassy area. They had a bocce ball court. The inside of the house was amazing. They had the master bedroom. They had like the master bedroom, and then it was like 2 rooms in one. But there was like a fireplace kind of splitting them up. And the second room they had was a full gym. I was like, this is perfect. Like, it was awesome. So it's like literally a master bedroom, and it was like 75% of a wall with like a hallway to the second room, and then the second room was just a gym overlooking the backyard. I was like,
nice.
This is awesome. It almost checked every single box of my house. So it was fun to walk through something like that and really visualize it. But yeah, that's it for me.
Awesome. Yeah, that's I appreciate you reminding me about the Alex Hormozy event because I had forgotten about it. I hadn't put it on a calendar, so I ended up listening to it after it was recorded and reposted. But it was great, and I mean, he continues to inspire me with how much he gives and also how much he's achieved and his business brain, just how he sees patterns and he analyzes things and just executes on the information that he's able to analyze and sort of systematize. Is that a word? But
Yeah.
yeah, it's endlessly inspiring, and his energy and just his yeah, like you said, living his mission, very inspiring. And the Go Giver thing, for anybody who hasn't read it, it's a great little thin book just about how coming from a place of giving, even though you don't want to like make your motivation, if I give more I'll get more, but it's the way it works too. Like if you
Yeah.
give from a pure place, it ends up more coming back to you. And that the Go Giver is a fun little business book that talks about that in like a parable form, so I recommend that. I read it a couple times, I think. And Zig Ziglar said, if you help people, enough people get what they want, then you'll get what you want. So it kind of goes along with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, other than that, I also, Jasper, you recommended to me last week the 10X is better than 2X, Dan Sullivan and Benjamin Hardy. So I haven't read that book, but I just because we were talking about it, I pulled up some stuff on YouTube and I grabbed Dan Sullivan went on Joe Polish's show. What's that called? I can't remember.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know the name of the podcast, but I can't remember. But he does all these things where, and I guess this was an event where he had a bunch of different speakers come for a weekend, and Dan Sullivan was one of them. But he did a couple of talks on 10X is better than 2X and just the mindset stuff around it. And it was really
Yeah.
good because he talked about scarcity mindset versus abundance mindset and like the building blocks of that and how you just really need to change your paradigm in your mind. And he talks about energy versus stuff. Like stuff is just stuff that you do that doesn't feed you or even takes away your energy. And then there's the stuff that gives you energy. And those are the things you need to be gravitating toward. Similar to Who Not How, just like picking the things that you're really good at and finding people to do the stuff that you're not good at or that doesn't bring you energy. But he was like challenging people. This is probably all parallel with the book, just challenging people to like eliminate 3 things per month and add 3 things that give you energy per month. There's things like that, just
Yeah.
how to get to this 10X mindset and and he really had like nuts and bolts of how to build a 10X mindset or build a more abundance mindset to get you to that place. And like you were saying last week, Jasper, just like how 2X is like a lot of work and not a lot of fun because it's just like
Yeah.
trying to do what you've already done, but just double it. But 10X
Yeah.
requires a lot more creativity and feels a lot more fun and energizing. So anyway, I'd recommend that. Dan Sullivan on Joe Polish's show on YouTube. And I think I listened to one other talk by him too, just because I was on that track, but I can't remember it right now. But just look up Dan Sullivan and 10X, 2X, and you'll find some good stuff about just mindset and expanding your mindset to really get into a place of growth and also enhancing your life, not just 10Xing your revenue, but 10Xing everything that brings quality and meaning to your life. So it's a great message. So yeah, I think that's all I've got for inspiration and education, but those are 2 great things. So Hormozy and Dan Sullivan.
Sweet.
Yeah. So then I guess we'll segue into checking in about our business. And we do this, just Jasper and I have been doing this mastermind long before we ever decided to do it as a podcast, but we just check in about our business and how things are going, some KPIs, some experiences, victories and challenges, and hopefully some of the experiences we're having are beneficial to people who are coming up in their businesses or, even people who have been around for longer. But we'll just do like KPIs and business trends and any victories and challenges. And so you want to kick us off, Jasper?
Let's do it. I will start with KPIs. So this week was kind of slow again, unfortunately. So I'm hoping we'll have a big 2 weeks to finish the month. But we had 0 contracts, 1 closed, 1 sold, 60 offers, and I think this number's slightly off, but 222 leads. That's slightly off because of our podio. But that's my KPIs for the week. One victory, so I'll go into victories next. So the closed deal was a victory. Obviously, we closed one, which is awesome. But it was more than that for me. It was like a moral victory. It was victory on all counts for me. So I'll touch on that deal quickly. But basically, I contracted this deal, or my team contracted this deal of May of last year, and the seller, uh, I think she developed dementia pretty soon after that,
Oh God.
and we didn't know at the time, but we signed the contract. Actually, Duncan signed the contract with her, in person and everything, and everything
Yeah.
was good. We were going good. He got the pictures at the same time, and we were moving along, and we were scheduled for closing date and everything. And then I reached out to her. I was like, "Hey, we're scheduled for closing date for this date. Just need your seller info packet, all this stuff. Looking forward to closing with you." And she was like, "What? Like, who are you?" Like, and then I explained all that stuff to her, and she just had no idea. So I was like, "Man." And at that time, I was like, "Is she just like playing me? Is she joking? Like, what's going on here?" And so I continued to follow up with her, but it was the same story. And so, we filed a memorandum. We've touched on that in this podcast in the past, but we filed a memorandum just in case, she wasn't telling the truth and she was like trying to go behind us or something. So we filed a memorandum and then followed up with her monthly, and then her phone number stopped working. And so we were like, oh, bummer. So I totally forgot about the deal. And then I think it was about May or June of this year, her daughter reached out to me and she kind of told me the story, but it wasn't really a pleasant phone call with her daughter because she was, accusing us of like trying to take advantage of her mother with dementia and all this stuff, and she was like just really angry, essentially. And so she led with the anger, and then I was just like, not like backing down, but in a very nice way. I was like, yeah, we wanted to work with her. I told her the whole story, but she just like stopped answering our calls, all this stuff. We were ready to close on it. And I was like, we'd love to work with you guys again. If you're the one handling her affairs, and we can make this a smooth process for you and all this stuff. And she didn't really buy it at first. And she was like, all right, well, I'm recording this phone call. I'm sending everything to my attorney. I was like, okay, sounds good. I'll talk to you soon. I was just like, all right, okay. Because at that time, I've been dealing with a bunch of other stuff. So this was not like a big deal. And so I'm glad that I handled it that way, because she came back to me about a month later. And when she came back to me, I thought it was going to be like, I'm suing you, all this stuff, but it was total 180. And so she came back to me and she was like, I'm so sorry that my mom like ghosted you guys and all this stuff. And I would love to work with you. Like, what's the process like? And so we,
Wow.
explained everything to her. Yeah, it was really nice. I wasn't expecting that because, that was how she left off. She was like, I'm sending this to my attorney. This call was being recorded, by the way. I was like, okay. I thought that was pretty funny. But I just expected to be sued.
I'm
I was
supposed to tell
expecting
you up
all.
front that the call's being recorded, right?
Yeah, I know, I know. It was like I could tell that she was flustered dealing with her mom's affairs and stuff. It's a lot to go through. But I was just trying to be as friendly as I could. But at the same time, I wasn't gonna just let go of it, because I was like, we'd love to work with you on this property. We were expecting to work with you last year, and I'm really glad that I stood my ground on this one. And she came back around full circle, and it ended up being a really smooth transaction with her. She was super easy to work with from that point on out, and we closed it. Obviously, we closed it a little bit later because our attorney was out of town. We were actually scheduled to close the week, and he was out of town. But she was still super happy. And with the storms that were going on in North Carolina this past week, it kind of put another wrench in things, because like a tree fell down at the property, luckily not on the house, but it was pouring down rain while she was trying to clear out the house, and there was all this stuff going on. Um, and to make matters worse, she didn't have a place lined up until Friday. We were scheduled to close on Tuesday. And so I was like, man, this is an opportunity for me to kind of like live what I preach, like how I said that Alex does, because one of the things that I tried to adopt when I told you sometime last year. I heard the Airbnb CEO. He said that they strive for like a 10-star experience, which is like, what's 5 stars and what can we do to just, crush that and go to the next level. And so I was like, well, there's a chance for me to actually practice what I preach. And so I was like, well, you don't have a place till Friday. How about we book you a hotel room? We'll help you move out all the stuff. And so like we just did all that stuff. We booked her a hotel room. Funny enough, the hotel room I booked her, the hotel had no power, but thankfully they transferred her to another one in Raleigh, because Durham was just totally shut down and this week
Yeah.
with storms and stuff. So thankfully, that was another wrench in the mix. But overall, I just felt really good about the deal. I was grateful that she came back to work with us. I was grateful that my memorandum held up, for over a year, and we got this deal. It
Is
was a
that
great
why
deal
the
for
deal came
us.
back? Did it come back because of the memorandum?
Yeah, so yeah, she was handling her mother's affairs and working with an attorney, obviously. And so her attorney told her, these guys have a memorandum. And that's why she was kind of combative at first with me. She was, like, why did you cloud my title, all this stuff? And I was like, well, it's kind of common practice that we protect ourselves here when we have a contract and we're trying to close on something. But overall, it's just a victory on multiple accounts. To have an opportunity to still work on the deal after a year was awesome. It was kind of like a surprise deal for me, something that we totally forgot about, and it was smooth on all accounts. And she's going to leave us a great review too. So yeah, so that was awesome.
That's great. Really cool
Yeah, and
that
it
you did
felt
that
good.
with the hotel.
Yeah, it felt good all around too. So I like when deals go like that. So that was good. Um, and then other victories. This week, my bookkeeping team, which I would recommend to anyone out there, now that I've worked with them a few months, if anyone's looking for a affordable bookkeeper that's experienced in real estate specific bookkeeping, I am using Books Time now, and they have been very good so far. But this week, my original bookkeeper with them totally ditched me, and I got a new one, and it was a blessing in disguise because she's even better.
Ha,
And so she sent me my monthly report, and it was just like so cool. Like it's like this spreadsheet, and it has a drop down in the spreadsheet. I don't even know how you do this stuff, but I can use it, which is awesome. So just send me a spreadsheet, and it's like the tabs at the bottom. There's like 12 tabs at the bottom, and then the first spreadsheet is just like our like revenue and stuff, like profit and loss and stuff. But it makes it look cool. It's like colorful and like really easy to understand. And there's just a drop down menu at the top where I can just click month by month, and so it's super awesome. And that's just one of the tabs. And then it goes into like the next tab is like the balance sheet and like all this accounting stuff, whatever. But the way that she formatted it in the spreadsheet made it super easy for me to understand. Everything is right there on each page, so I don't have to go and search through QuickBooks. So she's awesome. And then my other like support person with them or whatever was like, hey, just by the way, like this is your new bookkeeper, but she was actually on a bigger project before you, and so she has the ability to do all these dashboards and reports and all this stuff. And I was like, cool. So she's gonna like make me even more reports every week or every month. So I'm really excited about
that's great.
that. Yeah, and it's been really nice. And then they actually reached out to me this week also, and they were like, "Hey, it's been a couple months. How's everything going?" Like they actually cared, and they were like, "How's everything going? Is there anything we can do to improve?" And one of the things I was like, "Well, I'm still like every week I go in my QuickBooks and I'm like classifying transactions still. Like I'm like making sure that everything is correct in the banking part or whatever." I was like, I'm still doing this, and I'd rather not. And they're like, oh, no problem. We'll just do that for you every week. And if you have any questions, we'll just shoot you a message. I'm like, oh, awesome.
Nice.
So now my bookkeeping is totally hands off. I don't ever have to log into QuickBooks again. So I am so excited about that.
That's the dream
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah. So, long story short, these guys are $200 more per month than my QuickBooks people, but now it's totally hands off. I'm getting all these reports every month. The customer service is great. So to me, it's well worth it. And I'm excited that I can totally step out of that realm of things and just get handed financial reports. I feel like I'm like a big business, it feels awesome.
Yeah,
So
that's
I'm
great.
excited about that. Yeah. But yeah, so that was a victory for me. And then funny enough, we had another call this week with CG. The call this week was on finance and taxes and stuff. I really enjoyed that. It was with this dude named Marcus Krigler, and he recommended a book. Yeah, let's see if I can remember it. I just ordered it. I could go grab it, but it was by Keith Cunningham. I think it was something like The Secret to Running a Wildly Profitable Business, something like that. But it's a finance book. And I read the book, I think you read it as well, by Keith Cunningham, called The Road Less Stupid. That's a popular book that people talk about.
I have not
But
read that.
I like that one. He calls it the dumb tax in that book. That's like his recurring word or whatever that he uses. He's like, don't pay the dumb tax, like do it this way instead. So I like that book because it's kind of funny. But so I ordered this new book by him, and I'm excited to read it. But I'll get the exact name for you, and
Dan
I'll send it to
Cunningham.
you. Keith Cunningham
Oh, Keith
is is,
Cunningham.
is his name. Yeah, and I could. Well, actually, I'm on my computer. I could just pull it up. So in case anyone listening wants to buy it, but that was recommended by Marcus on our weekly call this week, and it was a really good call. One thing that he talked about is just I thought I was already fairly conservative, but he kind of took it to a whole new level. So now I have to kind of check myself a little bit. But what he said is that you should every quarter or so you should go and look back at your last 3 months and figure out what's your burn rate, which is just how much you're spending each month on the average over the last 90 days. He said you want to do it over 90 days because obviously expenses are changing in a growing business. And if you do it over 12 months, you're not going to get an accurate picture. So he said that was an action step for us after the call. So it's something I did. But look back at your last 90 days expenses, figure out the average per month, and then you should have 3 times that in your business account. And so that's something that I never thought about before. But he said you should have that in a separate account that's just reserves, and you should obviously update it like every 90 days. If your expenses are changing drastically, then add some more money in that account. But he said at the very least, every business should have 3 months in like a reserves account or whatever for their business, for that burn rate, so that if all else, if crap hits the fan or whatever, and you have no revenue coming in for 3 months, you're covered. So that was helpful for me. Just put those reserves in place. I have some personal reserve accounts, but I didn't really have that for my business. I just had it all lumped in one account. So
Yeah.
that was inspiring for me to make more money so that I can set up that business reserve account, and also just to kind of have that safety net. I think that's a good thing. So but here's the book, just in case anyone's interested. It's called The Ultimate Blueprint for an Insanely Successful Business by Keith Cunningham. And so he said that that's a really good book, just dealing with finances for your business, and he breaks it down in an understandable way, like an easy way to understand. So
Nice.
I'm going to read that. Yeah, I'm going to read that pretty soon. But yeah, that call was good. And then another victory this week was sold one, but the victory is that I sold it to a new buyer. And that was one of the action steps I told you I took a few weeks ago. Was I had one of my virtual assistants scrape for every county that we work in. I can send this to you if you want, but he scraped all of New Western's buyers from
Yeah, you told me
January
that.
January 1st, 2022 up until today's date. And he's going to go back and do it monthly for every county, because there's obviously going to be some more transactions every month in each county. But so he scraped all his buyers, and that came into play this week. I had this deal in High Point, which is Guilford County. It's a county that we don't work in quite as much. So I sent it out, email blast, didn't really get much response. And so I literally just went through this spreadsheet. I think it's like, I don't know, 50, 60 buyers in there that he scraped. And I literally just hit them up one by one. And I got a bunch of interest and sold it in a day, just from that action that he took.
Sweet.
So that was awesome. Yeah. And I actually had him go back through and plug in all the phone numbers for these guys as well, because that's something I was doing manually. But now I've got all the phone numbers in there as well, or all the ones that he could find. So now it's super easy. I'm gonna reach out to my original buyers first, but if they don't want it, I'm gonna go to this list and then just drum up some more interest. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's a great move.
And I don't know what the total count is. I've got them split into tabs, but it's hundreds of buyers that we just got pretty much for free. I pay him $5 an hour, but it's free in terms of all the websites that he uses to get these buyers. So it's just the register of deeds that he's going on. So yeah, that was awesome for me. And I guess just a tidbit for anyone listening, the process that I used was to have him go on the Register of Deeds website. So anybody who's listening, you can just Google your county and then Register of Deeds, and it'll pop up the website. And what you can do on there, if New Western is operating in your county or whatever, you can just figure out the LLC that they're using. Probably the best way to do that is actually do a deal with them. Then you'll see the LLC that they close under. You can search that on Register of Deeds, and that'll show you all the transactions that they did. And so that's an easy way to find buyers if you're just starting out. You can just backtrace all the buyers that they're selling to, skip trace those people, look them up, and call them and see if they would be willing to work with you too. So
Yeah.
that's a free way to get buyers.
Just to emphasize it, it's like, Jasper, I think this is something you did really early on in your business, as you knew that it was important to build a buyer list, and you put a lot of resources toward building a buyer list. And I think I started off my business and didn't emphasize that as much. And so I struggled on the disposition side for a while, until I really put emphasis on that, building a quality buyer list. But it's so important if you're starting a business to have buyers ready if you can. And so, like, if you don't have the funds to spend money on it, just doing something like Jasper said is a great move to get people that are buying for cash for free. I guess another resource too would be PropWire. Like, we find cash buyers on PropStream, but PropWire is free, so you can find cash buyers in an area on PropWire. But the thing about using the New Western thing is, a lot of people don't like New Western. That's funny, but anyway, they do a ton of deals all over the country. So if they're dealing with people, they're probably vetted buyers who are doing multiple deals in that area, and they're probably high quality buyers, as evidenced by your experience. Just reaching out to a few of them and selling that deal. So that's a cool hack that you shared.
Yeah, and just to expound on that, in case anyone listening is looking to build buyers, like you said, PropWire is an easier way to do that. You can just go on there. I think they have like Flippers thing, and you can just plug in your zip code or county or whatever, and search flippers or cash buyers, and they'll pull them up. But I don't think they pull up 100% of them. And so, like you said, the new Western buyers, not only are they vetted and legit because they're working with them, but they're also paying top dollar, because in a lot of cases, that's the reason that that's the reason I ended up working with New Western, because despite them still making anywhere from, I don't know, 5 to 15 to 20,000 on top of me, they'll still be my highest offer. So their buyers are paying insane prices. so if you find these buyers, it's literally a gold mine, because if you find the everyday flipper, a lot of times, they're going to try to beat you up on price a little bit, and that's normal. Everyone will. But in this case, if you find new Western buyers, they're used to paying kind of top of market prices. So if you send them a deal that's good, that's competitively priced, they're probably going to just jump on it right away. And that was my experience in this past week with this deal. He just jumped on it, full asking price. We were good to go. And so I probably could have sold it a little bit extra to this guy, but I was happy to get my first one done with him, and next time maybe I will. But
yeah, well, you're still getting the price that you want out of it, so that's great.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a good tidbit for me. And like you said, they're working pretty much all nationwide in the United States, pretty much every major market in the United States. So they're probably in your market. But yeah, so that was another victory for me to put that into practice. And I think that's about it for me for victories. Yeah, I think that's about everything I wanted to share. Yeah, challenges. I don't know that I had anything that I need to touch on. I could complain about some stuff, but that's not necessarily actionable.
Yeah, you had Podio go down this week. I know you had that one.
Yeah, so that was a challenge, but like I said, I was grateful that they got it up really quickly. I texted Sal, and I was really grateful for him, because I texted him at 6 a.m. when I was up. I didn't expect a response. He texted me back within 60 seconds, and he was like, "I'm so sorry. I'll work on this right away." And I would imagine that he kind of pushed me to the front of the line, so I appreciate him for that. But it is something I need to think about going forward. I need to look into some software that maybe could like back up my Podio for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's software like that out there, but something where if this ever happened again, I would at least have access to my data in a spreadsheet somewhere, so that we could at least get some work done. But I'm really grateful they got it up and running.
I wonder if they have that service within Podio, like if they have some kind of a backup thing you can subscribe to.
Yeah, and maybe it's something where I have one of my virtual assistants do it manually, and we could just export all of our leads every week or something, so that I'm covered. But yeah, it definitely makes me think about switching to another version of Podio, or possibly another CRM. I like Podio, but I know that there's other CRMs out there, so that's something I definitely need to think about this coming week, just in case that ever happens again. But yeah, that was a slight challenge for me. Our attorney, the attorney we share, was I think dealing with some family issues this week.
Excuse me a
And so
second.
oh yeah.
Bye.
Oh, sorry, Jasper.
Bye.
All right.
Great to see you. I'll come to Evelyn's sometime.
You going?
Yeah.
Bye.
All right. We took your pasta because it's suspect, right? We took the.
Yeah, take it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Have a good voyage.
Okay.
All right. Bye. Sorry, they're heading out.
No worries.
We'll just edit that. Let's see.
No
where are we
worries.
at here? See if I can see the timestamp. I'll figure it out. It'll be out. Sorry.
Alrighty, all good. I'm just wrapping up anyways, but I was just saying, I think Jason was dealing with some family stuff this week or something,
Yeah.
but he was out for what seemed to be like all week. He wasn't responding to emails and stuff. So
Yeah.
Giselle was super helpful. So
had a
that was a
couple
victory.
things
She was
pending.
super helpful.
Yeah.
But I have a couple deals next week where we don't have HUDs and stuff yet, and so I'm hoping that he'll be able to be okay and help us with that stuff. But that was a slight challenge, but it's okay. Things happen. And besides that, I lost a deal this week in a kind of a weird way. The seller was trying to sell a property out from under his tenants to us. And so I spoke to the tenant, and we had a good talk and stuff. And I told him that he needs to file his agreement with the county so that this won't happen to him in the future. But he told me they have a rent-to-own agreement in place, and he's literally like trying to pay off the house, and the seller's trying to sell it to us out from under him. I'm like, dude. So like we could technically close on it because there's nothing on title with the rent-to-own agreement, but I'm not going to do that to this guy. I don't feel right doing that. So I just told him to file that with the register of deeds and protect himself there. But slightly a bummer, because that would have been.
You could offer to buy him out. Maybe the guy's trying to sell it out from under him because he's not performing or something.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I don't know if that many buyers would want it with that stipulation now coming to play, because he's probably going to be a hard person to evict if someone was to buy it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we lost one this week because of that, but that's okay. But I think that's about it for me. My only challenge going forward now is going to be getting through this course and applying all this information, but I'm excited. There's so many activities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the course Jasper's talking about, Alex Hormozzi's course that he dropped for free on that video. A lot of stuff about advertising and marketing.
Yeah.
Check that out.
If anyone's interested too, I don't know how helpful it'll be for beginners, but it probably would be. But for anyone interested, it's just acquisition.com. You can go on that website. That's his website, and his courses are on there for free. So.
Yeah, and you can grab the YouTube talk also. Just Google Alex Hormozzi. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Yeah, let's switch over.
All right, I'll do my side. Let's see. So victories. I don't know. I guess one of my victories came out of a challenge, but we closed one this week. So that was good. I guess the victory in that is that it's a deal that we ended up buying a number of months back because we were doing it as a wholesale deal, with an assignment fee, and our buyer backed out at the very last minute, like the day before closing or something like that. And so because similar to you with the hotel, like we want to do the right thing by our sellers and not just be like, oh, you're out of luck. So we bought the deal. We bought the property because we figured, we could sell it again, but we've had it for a few months, and we got another buyer that closed on that one this week. So that was a victory. It was a victory because, we did what I consider the right thing by the seller, and then we ended up selling it and making money on it down the road. So that was a victory. And the other victory was that this is a new buyer that we've added recently, and she went under contract on 2 other properties. She wanted to close this first one with us and get a feel for how it was to work with us, but she was really happy with working with us, and she locked down 2 other properties and put down EMDs this week after we closed the first one. So yeah, so that was a victory. So that's 2 more sold. So if we're doing KPIs, 1 contract, 2 solds, 1 close this week. Yeah, we got 1 new contract this week, which is low for us. We need to be right now. We need to be in the 3 to 5 contracts per week range to hit the target I want to hit in terms of revenue. So it's still low. That speaks to, in part, to the challenge that we've had for the last 3 weeks, which is we still have not gotten our launch control account back online. It's still under review with the TCR, which is a regulatory commission for texting. So that's been a real challenge. And I've been frustrated with launch control and their support. And I don't think it's in their control. I think that, they just keep telling me that they originally told me it would be normally 2 or 3 days to get reviewed and back online. And now it's been 3 weeks. And so the last thing they told me is that the TRC is taking an extended look at our account or something. I don't know what the heck is going on. It's not like we're doing anything that any other real estate investor is not doing, sending texts and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's launch control, but I'm not super confident in launch control at the moment. I love their dashboard. I love the drip sequences. I love all the features that they have and the statistics, but I'm not impressed with the customer service on this. I feel like they could have headed this off earlier. They could have given us better advice and tips on how to get our site tight before it got reviewed, before they sent it over to review. I think they sent it over to review once and it got rejected, and then that's probably caused it to have a longer look at it instead of helping us get it really tight before they send it over review by reviewing our site and using the benefit of their experience to tell us what we should do, because they didn't really give us much. They didn't give us specific information or much information on why our account might have been flagged. So they basically just said, be careful of spammy language on your website and things like cash for your house or things like that, which I'm sure every other wholesaler has on their website too. So we just went through our website and tried to delete all potentially spammy language, and then they resubmitted it. And then later on, they told us that our privacy policy wasn't properly formatted or inputted in our website, which if they had told us beforehand, we could have done all those things and had it tight, and probably the privacy policy was the issue, but now we're 3 weeks of downtime. So they say they're going to reimburse us for the downtime because I have like a pro or an elite plan with them where we're paying like $2,200 a month for, a pro plan plus an extended extra market or something. So it's not like we're, I don't want to be paying like 22 or 25 or whatever. I think it's 25 a month that we're paying for no text being sent, So supposedly I reached out to them about putting a pause on our extra market. And if I do that, it's going to affect our leads that are already in our system from that market. So I can't really do that. So they say they're going to give us a credit once it finally comes online. The victory that came out of this, and I don't know if it's a victory, but it's a step I took, is that I signed up for a competing text platform, which is called Smarter Contact. I think they're one of the better ones. Jasper, you and I talked about this last week. I looked at a few platforms. I think Lead Sherpa is not taking any new accounts right now. I think they're maxed out and they're dealing with trying to catch up with the speed of their growth or something. And then I looked at one or two others, and Smarter Contact seemed to be the best one. So we're onboarded with them, and we should be ready to go on Monday. We were, doing a lot of setup on Friday. So we'll start sending texts on Smarter Contact on Monday. And I think a lesson here is similar to what you're saying about your Podio, is like, I might always want to have two different companies providing SMS marketing services for the future, because I don't ever want this to happen again. So I may be downgrading my launch control, and if I like Smarter Contact, and having one person working on Smarter Contact and one person working on launch control, and just maybe I use them for different purposes or different markets or whatever. But I don't know that I ever want to put all my eggs in the basket of one marketing channel or one service for my leads like that when it can go down. And I don't know that this isn't going to transfer over. Like, does the TRC just recognize our company name or our EIN when we sign up with Smarter Contract and then flag us over there too? I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but or are we under the radar and on stealth mode because we're going with a different one and it doesn't translate over? I don't know, but I'm giving it a shot because fortunately, as I've shared, we've had a lot of leads in our system that could use more attention, and so it's been a blessing in disguise because we've giving more attention to all the leads that we might not have originally thoroughly looked at or put in follow-up sequences, all that stuff. So it's given us an opportunity to get very organized and to follow up with a lot of leads. And we've been talking to 10 or 12 warm leads every day and sending out offers and stuff weekly at a pretty good rate. So I'm grateful for that we had generated enough leads previously. But if we were really counting on fresh leads coming in every day, we'd be in deep shit right now, So that's a cautionary tale for anybody who's using SMS marketing, is maybe think about having, or if you're doing like Jasper, the thing with your business is you have cold calling and SMS. So if SMS went down, you still have cold callers. I've just been doing SMS with some direct mail sprinkled in, but my direct mail response rate has been really thin. It's just gone down because the competition here in our North Carolina market has gone way up. So I think I'm going to also supplement our SMS, even with the two SMS platforms. I think I'm still going to just do at least a low key direct mail every month, just send one out, because then I know that there's a baseline. I know that my response rate, it's just painful for me because my response rate used to be 1.5% to 2% on direct mail. And now it's been less than 0.5%, the last few campaigns I've done, which has just been like a punch in the gut, after being used to that. But I just have to, at least I know, I have a sample size now to know that my direct mail campaigns are going to get me 0.4% response rate or something. So I can count on that, right? And I can send out 5,000 pieces of direct mail and get an extra 20 leads a month or something. So 20 or 30 leads. So I think I just need to do that to broaden my base. I'm not ready to go into cold calling and hire more people and train them or whatever at this point. But it's been a lesson, and it's been a challenge. And like I said, it's been kind of a blessing in disguise on the level of managing our leads better and getting systems in place so that when we ramp up, we're ready. But it's time for us to get some new leads coming in because we do need to ramp up for this final push for the fall and trying to hit our revenue goals or surpass them. So I think that's about it for KPIs and business check-in. And then, the only other thing is like when Hormozy talks about simplicity, like how we were talking about how he said, if somebody's making advertising and marketing seem complicated, it's because they don't really know how to do it. So if you know how to do it, it's simple.
Yeah.
But it's just like we do all this work on our KPIs and our ROI tracking and stuff. And like if my ROI for text is 8x and I'm feeling like I'm behind schedule with revenue compared to the goal I have for the year, is it as simple as just ramping up my volume? Like, can it be that simple? I don't know. I think I have to add people in the acquisitions department, but like, you know what I'm saying? Like the number is pretty simple. Like if I want to make X for the rest of the year, like say I want to make 300K in September, October, November, December, right? So then what's that divided by 8? It's like 40K. So if I spend 40K on marketing, then theoretically I would get 300K, right? That's like the very, very basic thing. If that's what we track ROI for, right? But then for me, it just goes into like, well, what's the infrastructure that I need to support the increased volume? And I think that's what I have to work on as manager, visionary, leader, CEO, whatever this week. Figuring out how we get the nuts and bolts together to like make sure we hit what we want to hit so that my team can get there. I promised them much bigger end of year bonuses if we surpass our target, and I want to, they're excited about it and I want to pay that out too, because it's fun to be able to do that.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's my business check-in.
Sweet. Well, yeah, I would always encourage you to spend more on SMS. Obviously now it's more difficult because they shut you down, but yeah, Alex Hormozy said yesterday, he said, all things being equal, so that's the asterisk. He said, all things being equal, when you double your leads, you double your business. So that's what he says.
Yeah.
And he said to the same extent, if you 10x your leads, then you 10x your business. And obviously it's partly because his new book is $100 million leads. So I think he's trying to sell his book slightly, but I found that to be true in my experience. I look back at my KPIs and it was just last year in January, I got 64 leads a month. Now we get 700 leads a month. So, my business hasn't quite 10x, but it's definitely more than doubled. So, I definitely think more leads contribute to more business. And that's something I've been testing, like you said, with the ROI, because I had a really good ROI with text as well. So I've just been spending more and more money on it. I haven't made that jump to enterprise, and that's almost solely because I've heard rumors from not just you, but everyone that launch control is shutting them down and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to make the jump to double my text messages every day and obviously double my expenses when I might just get shut down the next day. So I haven't done it yet, but it's probably something I should do. Instead, I've been building out my cold calling side of things in case texting doesn't work out. But I might just go along with the journey with you and go into Smarter Contact as a third texting channel and see how they go. So
yeah, it might be the way to go, to just broaden the base and make sure that you're secure. Because then if one kicks, then you still got the other one or two.
Yeah. But one other thing I wanted to share that I learned from Carlos and Sal when I was in their group, with people that were doing a lot of texting and a lot of ringless voicemail, because you mentioned possibly doing that as well.
Yeah.
With people that were doing that, they recommended that those people sign up for a different entity specifically for those purposes. And so I signed up last year or 2 years ago, whenever I was in their group, I actually did sign up for a different entity that I just labeled as REI Marketing LLC. And I literally was just going to use that entity and that EIN number and everything for those purposes. I ended up totally forgetting about it and never using it. But one thing that I wanted to mention for listeners, for you and for myself, that might be a way around this sort of thing. Like, for example, if you were to sign up for another launch control account right now with a totally different EIN number, would they still be trying to lock you out? And so that's one thing I wonder about, because for me, I have 2 launch control accounts. They're both under different entities, so they're not in the same entity. And I think that might be part of the reason I haven't been shut down yet, knock on wood. hopefully I won't. But I think it's maybe the writing's on the wall for everybody with at least launch controls process. But I think that's one way to at least limit your risk there, maybe to have separate entities or separate EIN numbers and stuff. So
Yeah, that's a good thought. I appreciate that.
yeah, and, you go on like Zen Business or something, and you can make an entity for like $200. So it's definitely a cost. It's not free, but it could
Well, you can
possibly
go on
help.
the Secretary of State for your
Yeah, you can do it even for like $50, I think.
yeah, cut out the middleman and do it. I mean, I think an annual report for LLC in North Carolina is $100 a year. So if you file it for free, it's
Yeah.
still going to cost you $100, but you might save $50 or $100 over going through a service. If you're just starting out and you're trying to, really be, careful of your expenditures.
Very true. Yeah, you can go on your state's Secretary of State website, and I think you just download and print out the form and mail it in.
Yeah, or there's an online form on North Carolina too.
Yeah.
All right. I pulled up the James Clear from this week, so we can read a couple of these things, and then we can sign off. Right? We got anything else?
Let's do it.
All right. So Jasper and I subscribe to a newsletter from the Atomic Habits guy, James Clear. He's got a great newsletter. He calls it 321 Thursday. It's usually got some quotes and some ideas that are short and to the point, but normally food for thought and inspirational, I find. So it's funny because one of his things is make small bets. So, and that's kind of like broadening your base with the marketing that we've just been talking about. So he says, when nothing is working, explore and make a lot of small bets. After something starts working, double down on what works best. When that stops working, explore and make a lot of small bets again. So keep trying things. When something works, punch the accelerator on that. We've talked about that before from, that kind of idea of like, Hormozy said the same thing, like take the thing that works and go nuts with it. Like don't try and go after shiny object syndrome and try new things. When something's working, just double down on it.
Yeah.
And then this other idea he has here is some things work and some things don't. There's almost always another way to get to where you want to go. Don't keep trying to open a locked door. And then there's one here on persistence I'll read and then I'll stop. It's not that hard on any given day, but the trick is you can't skip days. Your workouts can be reasonable and still deliver results if you don't skip days. Your writing sessions can be short and the work will still accumulate if you don't skip days. As long as you're working, you'll get there. So to me, that's just persistence.
Definitely. Good one.
All right. And then we always like to end with some gratitude and appreciations because that's healthy and good. So what makes the world a better place? So you want to kick off?
Yeah, definitely. I've been really appreciating the weather this week. It's cooled down. It's in the 90s as our highs now. So I don't know if that's we're going into fall or if that's just a fluke, but I've been enjoying it. It's been like 90s and 60s, so really nice. Really nice here weather-wise. And I'm grateful for all the beautiful houses that are here that have open houses every weekend. Something I really enjoy doing most weekends is we just go and check out a few multi-million-dollar homes to try to imagine ourselves in them and also get ideas, get more ideas for what you want your dream house to be like when you see other people's dream homes. So it's really, really food for thought for me. And I'm grateful to have such an abundance of luxury homes here that I can choose from. It's like we look at all these different homes. We're like, no, I don't really love that one. So I'll just go to that one. So it's really fun. We can pick 2 or 3 every weekend and just go check them out. So
it's a fun
I'm really grateful for that. Yeah. And you get to meet other people doing the same thing. You get to meet the realtors. They're usually really friendly too. So it's fun. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to do that. And grateful for people like Alex Hormozy and James Clear and Sahil Bloom and other guys I subscribe to. Grateful for those guys for sharing a lot of wisdom every week for free and helping us learn and get better at business. And for anyone who's listening, those 3 people are great people to follow. Just for ideas and business and all kinds of stuff. So
life,
I guess that's it for me. I'm in.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I appreciate that we've had this mastermind going for a few years now, and I really appreciate you meeting with me every week to do this. And I get a ton of value out of sharing and learning from your experience and just comparing notes. And yeah, I'm grateful for anybody who's listening to this. And as we mentioned before, please share any comments or ideas or thoughts or things you'd like to see more of or less of. And we're just winging this, but we're hoping to bring some value to people. We'll get better as we go. Now I'm grateful for YouTube to make it easy and free. Well, I mean, I have a paid account on YouTube, but pretty easy and free to put up a podcast every week if we want to do that. And I'm grateful for, YouTube University and all the content there that we get to take advantage of and learn from. And all these individuals who, like you said, have gotten to a point of wealth and success where they just want to give to other people. And that trend is amazing in the world, that just more and more people, like you said, it's just going to be more and more billionaires. It's like accelerating, multiplying, because people are growing and sharing their growth and sharing the journey and just wanting to lift everybody else up. So that's inspiring. I appreciate that whole phenomenon that's come with this information age and the technology that we have. And I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for this beautiful weather here in Chicago. It's like 80s today and sunny, and so I'll be going out to play some pickleball for 2 or 3 hours.
Awesome.
For pickleball for exercise and making friends and competing, because I like to compete. And grateful for you showing me the game in the first place, and Scott and Janine for showing you. Jasper's aunt and uncle brought him to their club to play pickleball before COVID, and then he was like, "Oh, this is cool. Dad's going to love this." And he's like, "Dad, you got to play this." And then we started going out and playing as a family during COVID and really got into it. Yeah, it's been, I've never looked back. I dropped golf in favor of pickleball like 3 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Like almost
much more fun.
So I'm grateful for that, because it is really fun. Like everywhere I travel, I make new friends and meet people and just have a great time. So appreciate that. A way to be fit and make friends and connect and have fun. So I'm in with that. And I guess that concludes our episode. I think did I say 8 at the beginning? I think this is 8. 8th one we've recorded and posted. So hopefully we're getting better each time. But we're always open to feedback. Have a great week, everyone.
That's right.